Assistant Professor for Defense Studies at King's College, London, specializing in Mideast security. And Doctor, Russian accused the rebels of holding hundreds of people hostage, including women and children, and refusing to allow them to leave during the 5-hour truce. How do you look at the truce, and do you think it will hold?
No, I think that the truth is not holding. We saw today that there will have been fresh bombings. I think both sides here are to blame, but Russia is still flying attacks against civilian targets or against targets that are both civilian and military. The truth is clearly not holding, and we see the same strategy, the same counterinsurgency strategy playing out in East Ghouta as we've seen in Aleppo almost a year and a half ago, which is at one point it is about smoking people out, it's about surrounding an area and basically bringing the entire rebel movement, which is obviously very well plugged in with the civilian population, to a complete collapse. And here, I think the allegations that the rebels are holding people hostage are false. East Ghouta fell into the rebel hands very early on in the civil war. They have extensive and very deep roots in the civilian population. They were quite successful in providing security, providing public goods to the people in East Ghouta. And I think there's quite a good relationship with most of the rebel groups and the civilian population. This is not the same as we've seen, for example, in ISIS-held territory, where ISIS has undermined any relationship with the civilian community. So I find it hard to believe that the rebels would now use these civilians. This is a narrative that Russia has used time and again to justify why they continue bombing and violating the truth.
And Russia has been moving its military assets in Syria, including its stealth fighter jets. What do you think Russia's getting at?
I mean, there's a big debate about the Su-57, the Su-57s that we've seen over the skies in Latakia in recent days. I think this entire stealth program is still very much in its infant phase. The Russians don't really have the capability yet. These planes have not been completely tested. So some people were suggesting that this might be a deterrence regime against the Americans or against the Israelis, that they're saying now the Russians have 5th-generation fighter aircraft in the area, so you please stay back. You know, there are clear red lines that the Russians were wanting to defend. But in reality, neither the Israelis nor the Americans feel threatened by this capability, because their capability is far superior. Mm-hmm. I think this is more about rallying and reining in the population in Russia, who has become increasingly critical of that war in Syria and demonstrating strength. Putin wants to show his people that we are strong, we have the same capability, we have high-tech technology planes, and we're using that in Syria. Operationally, these jets